Hello, my name is Austin Morgan, and I will be doing Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, chapters 20 through 24. Chapter 20, The New Perils. Harriet Jacobs was already escaped, and her owner, Dr. Flint, was trying to locate her at this point. Dr. Flint has just arrested her uncle Phillips because he believes that he helped her in her escape. Jacobs is on the run and has miles to go through a swamp that is infested with venomous snakes and mosquitoes, but this is the best that her friend can do for her. Jacob says that this life is still better than the life of a slave. Chapter 21, The Loophole Retreat. The place that Jacobs will be staying in is her grandmother's den. It is 9 feet long, 7 feet wide. The highest part of the building is 3 feet high. This is a rundown building that was standard for a southern black building. Jacob stays in this building cramped day after day. She talks about her life as a slave. Although it was bad, it was not as bad as others. She says, I had never been cruelly overworked, never lacerated with the whip from head to foot, never beaten or bruised, never branded with iron or torn by bloodhounds, until she came in the hands of Dr. Flint. Jacobs carves out a small peephole so she can see the outside world. She can watch her children run outside. Chapter 22, Christmas Festivities. In this chapter, Jacob describes Christmas for the slaves, and how it was hard, but it was something to look forward to. But for Jacobs, this Christmas was a bit different. On this Christmas, Jacobs was told to be extremely quiet. 2 guests came to visit the house, 1 town constable and 1 free colored man who pretended to be a white man. The colored man was ready to kiss the slaveholder's feet to get into the good graces. Jacob's grandmother had a motive. Her motive was to show them the entire house and how Jacob was not there. Jacob spent the whole Christmas stuffed in her den, being completely silent. Chapter 23, Still in Prison. During the summertime for Jacob was terrible. There were many rains. The rain came through the roof and soaked her in her den. This made the conditions very uncomfortable for Jacobs, since she was always wet. Through her people, Jacob could see and hear things that were not meant for her to hear. One example she gives is a wet nurse slave running from 2 men. She was ordered to be stripped and beaten. To avoid torture, she jumped into the river and committed suicide. Although this is all still going on, Senator Brown of Mississippi was standing up in Congress and saying how slavery was a great moral, social, and political blessing for the master and for the slave. The final chapter for my PowerPoint is chapter 24, The Candidate for Congress. Dr. Flint was a very big politician. He was also a Southern Democrat. Dr. Flint would hold parties to discuss politics, and if anybody would disagree, he would throw them out of the party. While this is all going on, Jacobs was growing weaker and weaker due to being stuffed in her den. Jacob and many of her friends wondered if she'd be a cripple for the rest of her life. Jacob says, if it was not for the hope of her children, she would not have made it.